Hi, my name is Chris Durhan. Welcome to another episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Each week we take a chapter from the book Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir, and we talk about the film in that chapter and we make the drink associated with it. Today we are going to be looking at the film Side Street and making the drink the Black Manhattan. Now, Side Street was released in 1949. It was directed by Anthony Mann. Now, Anthony Mann made a number of film noir films, but probably is better known for his westerns with James Stewart, Winchester 73, and The Naked Spur, and several others. The film stars Farley Granger and Kathy O'Donnell. Now, they had starred together in They Live by Night and had very good chemistry together, so it's no surprise that they would put them together again. The story is Farley Granger is a part-time postman delivering the mail. He happens to wander into this office and sees some money on the floor, like $200, and he's broke. He's like completely broke because he's only working part-time, and I don't think they paid mailmen very much back then. He sees $200 on the floor, and in this office he delivers the mail, and he sees them put it in a file folder and put it in a file cabinet, and thinks how much that $200 would help him out in his in his life at that point in time. Turns out the next day he comes in the same office. The office is unlocked and empty, and he starts thinking about that $200. He goes to the file cabinet, checks the door, it's locked. He decides maybe this is not, he thinks better of it, but then he goes outside of the office and immediately sees a fire axe and a way to get at those $200. So he goes back in and jimmies the file cabinet door open and grabs that file folder. He ends up leaving the building and going up to the roof of another building where he can see, get his money, and finds out he didn't just steal $200, he stole $30,000, which in today's money would be about just shy of $400,000. So we're talking a lot of money. And this makes it from, some money that would be missed, but probably not, people wouldn't turn the city upside down looking for him, but now it's the amount of money that they really would do that, and he's in way over his head, and that's kind of what drives the rest of the film forward. Now, it's one of those films where you see a lot of character actors that you know, but maybe not know by name. Whit Bissell's in it in a small part. But you see a lot of faces you go, oh, I know that guy. Where do I know him from? In fact, one of the guys, I think he was one of those guys with the really, criminal sounding names in one of the Thin Man movies, like Cheech or Creech or something like that. There's one character who I really was like, oh, I know that guy. What do I know him from? And I had to cheat and look at IMDb and look him up. It turns out it was Charles McGraw. And what I mostly knew him from was he was in Spartacus, and he played the trainer at the gladiator school, who ultimately, Kirk Douglas, spoiler alert, drowns in a vat of soup. So, and he's one of these guys who almost always plays a cop. He plays a cop here. But it's just one of those things where you see a lot of familiar faces that you know, but you don't know. And I did find myself doing a lot of flipping over to IMDb as I'm watching this to figure out who the heck is that guy. The other big name in the cast is Jean Hagen. Now, Jean Hagen, I've talked about her before, but I think she has a habit of just kind of disappearing into her roles. I mean, you think of Jean Hagen and you think of her as Lena Lamont in Singing in the Rain, but then you see her in other films and it's like, wait, is that the same person? Because she's nothing like Lena Lamont, and it's such a signature role for her, but she's so good in other roles. Here she plays a nightclub singer, and who's kind of an alcoholic, but she's in with one of the criminals who are out to get Farley Granger, and so she's just really awesome in that. The film actually has a real chase scene, and a crash that is a real crash. Oftentimes, old classic films, the crash scenes, they cheat on them. You hear the skidding, the camera moves quickly, and then all of a sudden you see a car beat up, into a telephone pole or something like that. This was a real chase and a real car crash. A car turns over, and that's kind of interesting to see. Really, really good movie. Does a lot with the premise and with the people. I mean, just a really first-rate film. Now, Eddie Muller said that the perfect film for this would be The Black Manhattan, which is kind of a vamp on the Manhattan, considering it's almost all set in the island of Manhattan. So we're going to make that when we come back. I hope you stick around for that. So stick around. And we are back. So we are going to make the Black Manhattan. Now, the Black Manhattan feature is a vamp on the Manhattan. I think a Manhattan has a vermouth in it. We're substituting in Amaro Averna, which I just bought, and I was going to do something I don't normally do here. I just opened this guy. I'm going to take a little tiny taste of it just to see what it tastes like. Very sweet, but and vaguely medicine-y, which I'm finding a lot of these aperitifs do kind of come off a little bit medicine-y. So there we go. So this is a stirred drink. So we're going to start by loading up our stirring glass with some ice. Oop. We'll not worry about that one. And there we go. All right, now, I should throw that one. Okay, now, so we need 2 ounces of rye whiskey. Okay, there's 1. There's 2. And then we need 1 ounce of our Averna Amaro. Ooh, this is very, very dark. Just hence the name Black Manhattan. So, there we go. Now let me put this back on too. Okay, and we're going to give it a stir in our stirring glass. And you know what? I'm going to let this kind of sit there a little bit and get a little, oops, we forgot. Which is okay. We forgot we need a dash of Angostura bitters and a dash of orange bitters. Okay, that was a big dash. I wanted to let it sit. This kind of helps it sit. Let me feel the glass. Still feels like, okay, now the glass is starting to feel cold. I'm starting to get a little bit of moisture condensation forming on the stirring glass, so that's a good sign. So then we're going to strain it into a chilled coupe glass, and a very dark, almost not black, but it's about as close as to black as most cocktails are going to come. Now, this also calls for Luxardo cherries, and Eddie Muller suggests a trick for getting your Luxardo cherries out and getting them on their thing. What he suggests, and I usually cheat on the garnishes in that I will kind of prep them off camera so that I don't look like a doofus trying to do this. But what he suggests is you kind of lift it up with the bar spoon against the side of the glass and lets the syrup kind of go through, and then you poke it with your cocktail toothpick, and that way you don't have to, touch these with your hands. He also suggests kind of getting a little bit of the syrup off the cherry and just kind of laying it on the glass like that, because the drink is so dark that you're not going to see it at the bottom of see the cherry at the bottom of the glass. So, except for there I go, went into the drink. All right, so we now have not gonna worry about it. Okay, so we have the Black Manhattan. Give it a taste. Good, but good. It is pretty sweet. I'm still getting a fair amount of that medicine-y flavor, which I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the medicine-y thing. And I don't know, there's probably a better way of describing it, but a lot of these aperitifs, they have various herbs, and to me they kind of taste a little cough syrupy, and that's where I'm getting that medicine-y flavor. It is good, but I don't know whether I would be having this one on the regular. I think it's a little bit too, I don't know, too out there for me. But it's definitely no venture gain, nothing gained, nothing lost, or nothing. Let's go the other way. Oh well, whatever. So from a booth in the back of Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, we have the Black Manhattan. We're going to give it another sip. Cheers. I hope you join me next time. Thanks.